Okay, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
How's it going, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to the Old School, New School podcast.
Hey, Manny.
We're a little
People,
different.
we're discombobulated.
I look giant in the shot, and he apparently looks significantly smaller, but, you know, that's just how things are.
That's just the way it is. It's what? How tall are you?
6'3".
Yeah.
And you're 5.
I used to be 5'11". I'm down to 5'9", 5'10 and a half.
What the heck?
Yeah.
That's what happens when you get older, huh?
It does. You shrink.
I'm not looking forward to that.
But here we are in my lanai.
In the Lanai area instead, because his house is under construction.
There's no countertop in the kitchen.
Right.
The one bathroom's gutted.
Right.
And the guys are coming to do more work.
So here we are.
So here we are.
And we figured, this will be temporary. And then we're sitting here, you're like, it actually isn't too bad.
It actually looks nice in here.
Maybe the audio will be a little echoey.
Or maybe we need a table.
We could probably benefit from a real table.
But I found this in a house. This is like a true 1960s.
Whoa, this is vintage.
I mean, this is vintage.
Wow.
And
look at you.
I was in this house. They're like, "Oh yeah, throw all that crap out," and I'm like, "My wife will love that table."
Oh yeah.
So we have everything from vintage to brand new. She's pretty good at putting stuff together.
It's like a scrapbook, eclectic house. Yes. Well, hey, if you enjoy, it's clean. Yes.
Yes.
If you enjoy the content that we're making here at the Old School, New School podcast, be sure to hit the little subscribe button, hit the like button, and just let us know if you like the setup in the comments. Just let us know, hey, that sucks. The audio sounds terrible, or keep doing that. Just give us some feedback, and we will absolutely respond.
Because if it doesn't work, then Joyce is going to want a new house.
So it doesn't work, so we might as well just buy a new house, right?
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
The podcast didn't work in there, so let's move. So tell people how we come up with these ideas for every week.
Well, we show up, and then we go,
How's your week?
How was your week? Oh, it was this. Oh, how's your week? Oh, it was this. And then we just kind of go from there. And we talk about what happened this week. Like, he's had actually a fairly smooth renovation in the house, right?
It's been really good. I've been really, really impressed with these guys. I mean, they are doing everything they said they were going to do.
Yeah.
And my wife is here, and she doesn't hang over the top of them, but when they're not here, when they go home, she measures everything to say it's she's like, this plug is like an inch off because it has to be in the center.
Right.
It's like, well,
who cares?
But it's got, if it's not like the middle of the sink and the faucet, the center of the mirror's got to be there.
Yeah.
Which is weird because there's probably millions of people going,
Right. I'm not one of those people.
I'm not one of those.
Right, exactly.
I just want to make sure there's water when I wash my hands and toilet paper when I poop.
Yep. Exactly. I saw this image on the internet, and this is what men's bedrooms would look like if women didn't exist. And it was a mattress on the floor, a TV on the other side on the floor, and then a handgun next to the bed. It's like, that's all you need.
I can always tell when I show a single man's house.
Yes.
There's no pillows. Like the bed.
Yeah.
There's the pillow that you use.
Right.
To sleep on.
And that's it. That's my bed.
Yeah.
That's my bed, yeah. That is my bed.
And it's made, pillow, couch, no pillows. I've got...
Throw pillows.
Man, I had to take the pillow out of my back. You got a pillow in your back?
I do. It's actually kind of nice.
Is it?
There's actually some value to this, believe it or not.
Okay.
Like, my roommate bought us throw pillows, and it was like, okay, this is not bad. It's just they're gray. Everything's gray. Everything's gray.
You're pretty neutral with gray right now.
That's his thing.
So how was we were going to talk about perseverance.
Perseverance. Yeah, because Lord knows we need it.
Why? Excuse me. Why perseverance?
Well, I'll tell you, because sometimes you have those weeks. Am I right? The old ball and chain. Am I right? No. But the work week has been especially rough. And, I mean, you get it. You've been having a perpetual rough work week ever since you opened this car wash.
Gosh. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we wanted to just talk a little bit about, perseverance of the faith, perseverance specifically in doing the good works. It says in one of the Timothys, never tire from doing the good works, or fighting the good fight is what he says. But that means doing the good works of the faith, being a servant, continuing to be a servant, not just like I'm going to serve on Sundays and then I'm going to slack off for the rest of the week, like every day. And it's obviously you have your rest time, but it's like you are going after it 7 days a week, 24/7.
What do you think the difference is between perseverance and tenacity?
Well, heck,
You just dropped the blanket.
I did?
Yeah.
Oh, not the throw blanket.
In case we get cold here.
Right, yeah, because in Florida we're going to get cold.
Believe me, she keeps us like a locker room.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, heck, it's been rainy this morning. But yeah, tenacity and perseverance. I would say perseverance is more of a willingness to
like
continue.
Lifestyle?
A lifestyle. Tenacity is like just... I don't know why, but for some reason the word like annoying persistence pops into my mind. It's like you're so go-getter that you're just like, it's a force of habit.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
But for me, I think of perseverance as intentional, as more, I'm going to do this, as opposed to this is just who I am, and I'm gonna wake up at 7 a.m. and I'm gonna go to work because I have to. And he's tenacious. He gets after it, but he doesn't exactly want to.
Now, I would describe my wife as tenacious. She's got tenacity. I mean, it's like when she decides to do something, she digs in.
Oh yeah.
And it's like it's going to be done to the best of her ability. It's messed up. Now, I believe in perseverance. Let's say, hey, let's finish. We did this. Let's go for it.
Right.
This is what we said we're going to do. We're going to do it. And so I look at the two of them. One is more like I've decided to do this.
Yeah.
And tenacity is more like, no, this is just who I am, man.
Exactly. Yeah.
Get out of the way.
Yeah. Yeah. Like that's how I view. Well, because everybody has things that they're tenacious about. I mean, because I can be persistent about my job, but I'm not exactly enjoying it. So it's not in my nature. You know, because I look at tenacity as more of in my being of who I am.
Right.
I was made to be hard work and go get it until it's done.
Like when you work out.
Yes, exactly.
You're like, no, we're getting this.
We're going to because we haven't today and it's 10, but who cares? We're going anyways.
But when you're the only person at the restaurant serving everybody for the whole night, you're like, okay, I got to get through this.
Exactly. That's perseverance.
Yeah.
That is, I'm going to choose to do this, even though I do not want to right now.
Yeah. When I was at the fire department, perseverance is, okay, we're here. We need to finish this. Let's just get through to the other side.
Yep.
I think that's perseverance. And then you're like, I'm really glad that I did that.
Right, yeah.
Tenacity is like, it just never goes away.
Right, exactly. Tenacity is who you are.
Okay.
Like your wife is a tenacious
So let's
person.
talk a little bit about when you as a Christian, we also have notes just for in case.
In case we run out of things to talk about.
We talk about end times and all kinds of stuff. How should you be living?
Yeah.
But that's what the message was about. How you should be living.
Yeah.
And so when you think of that, how do you be the man? Wait a minute. Correction. How do you be the person?
You could say man, Chris.
Oh, I can?
You're allowed to. This is your house. You make the rules.
Okay. How do you be the person
that
God created you to be?
Right.
And persevere, like at work. How do you do that? Because it happened 2 days in a row this last week.
It has. It's been rough, and I've definitely learned. I've learned that I don't want to do it forever. I'll tell you that. But I've also learned who I am, because I would say a couple of years ago I would not be prone to do that again. If I were, a teenager and if it was like my first job. And if that were to have happened to me, I would be like, I'm quitting.
This is crazy.
This sucks.
I'm not doing that.
Exactly. I don't need to do this.
Who do they think they are?
Right. Who do they? Come on. My manager? Yeah, right. But
He's an idiot.
He sucks. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He's never done this before. I would have definitely thrown in the towel a lot earlier.
Yeah.
Because I served myself when I wasn't all in with my faith. I served myself first.
Okay.
Because that's just how people are, is you do things for your own self-interest. And that's where that word, you know how there's 8 different versions of love in the Greek? And there's that one, it's agape, which is selfless love.
When I first became a Christian, they had a group called the Agape Group.
Agape Group, yeah.
And I'm like,
yeah.
what is that?
What the heck is that word?
Are they squeezing grapes?
Guppies, like fish? What is
Are
this?
they walking on grapes and making wine?
Making wine? Is this a wine making
I'm an
group?
alcoholic. I can't go to that group.
I can't go to this group. Yeah, agape, not grapes, not winemaking, dude. Agape means
I'm so
selflessness.
funny, I can't even take it.
Chris Meekins is the funniest person that Chris Meekins knows.
I'm the funniest person I know.
Oh, 100%. Yeah, agape is selfless love. So you're doing, it's also been described as like gift love. So you're giving something, not expecting return, is kind of the intention of the word. And so, those different kinds of love are learned behaviors, because we are not inclined to give selflessly as humans. We serve ourselves, but the more you become, learned in the faith, and the more that you root yourself in the faith, you learn that the whole point of all of this creation, the whole point, the why we were made, was for a few things. One of those things was to work. Believe it or not, there was work to be done in paradise, in the Garden of Eden. You'd think paradise is,
you would think,
sitting on the beach with a margarita and doing nothing all day.
Smoking a cigar,
doing what you want,
awesome.
Right? Well, for God, it was rooted in us that what we wanted was to work. You see retirees playing golf all day. It's like, I'm bored of this.
Yeah.
This sucks now.
It only lasts for a certain amount of time.
Exactly.
What are you looking at?
I just noticed that I can see the reflection in the mirror there. I'm checking myself out. Anyways, the selflessness comes from, for me especially, comes from this book that I was given by a friend of mine, Nate Kaufman. And Nate, if you happen to be listening, he gave me a lot of books, actually. Desiring God by John Piper. That's another great book. But there was this one by this author, Timothy Keller, and it was called Every Good Endeavor. And it really changed my whole perspective on work and perseverance in work, because the whole point of the book was to teach that we were created for work. The whole point of the Garden of Eden was to work. We were told to be fruitful and multiply, and to tend to the garden. And it's a part of creating. God created the earth. Wow. He wants us to share in that creation by morphing the creation to our own desires. So tending to the garden, trimming the hedges to whatever you want them to look like, is kind of a basic version of that. And now for us, it's investing in this 401k or doing a 12-hour shift over here so that I can change the society around me in the way that I see best.
Okay.
And that's a more advanced version of what we were originally told to do, which was, tend to the garden and make it look like how you want to. And share in the creation, because God gives us the creation to do with it what we want, and then, give it back to him with like praises and worship and all that good stuff.
Well, there's a guy, Rick Warren, Purpose Driven Life.
Yes.
Please tell me you've heard of the book.
You've told me a couple of times, so now I know who he is. Yes.
Okay. Well, it was like the biggest book ever written like 20 years ago. That's probably not a true statement, but
yeah,
it was huge.
Back in the day.
It was huge.
It was huge.
Anyway, part of it at the beginning is like your purpose, as we were designed to work.
Yeah.
We bring glory to God while we're working.
Yeah.
Because he designed us to tend the garden.
Exactly.
To name the animals.
Yeah.
I love the message we had a couple weeks ago where it says Adam was actually brilliant when you think of all the things that he did. He named every animal, all that.
Right.
Stuff. But that being said, is that our purpose? So go back to tenacity and what was the other word we were going to say? Perseverance.
Yes.
Perseverance for me is saying, I'm going to do this because I've signed up for it.
Yeah.
I got a lot of pride and
in the way, yeah.
In a way, but it's perseverance is like, no, I said I was going to do this.
Yeah.
I'm going to stand by my word. I'm going to be the man that I said I was going to be.
Yeah.
And do these things. And so perseverance is really just living a life as an example, which what a great transition to this week's message.
Oh my gosh, look at this guy.
Is how should we be living? And then Matthew 5:14 and 16, it talks about being a light of the word. And and that was the basis of the message this week, being a light.
Yeah.
And so when you persevere, like it doesn't matter what you did the other day when you did a double.
Yes.
And you were the only person the whole day doing any work. Everybody else stood around while Will did everything.
Right.
I'm sure that's how I did. The
totally.
cooks were watching you.
Also cooked. Yeah. Took their order, cooked the food, brought it to them, then cleaned up.
And then cleaned up. But even so, the people there watched you. They know what happened.
Right.
And that's when people go, well, he did that. He got through that. He was mad. He might have dropped a couple F-bombs, which you don't.
I've never done that in my life. My mom watches all these episodes.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry, Mom.
But anyway, but being a light, it's doing what I said I was going to do, persevering through it, and you're being an example,
right,
from a biblical standpoint. And it's really not like, oh no, I just fed the hungry down the street.
Look at me.
Hello, everybody.
Look at me.
Oh, I just did this or that, and I'm just saying, I volunteer at the children's ministry twice a day.
Yeah.
And that's great that they do that. I'm not saying that.
No, yeah.
But I would be doing it so that people would notice.
Guys, look at me do this.
Just say it.
Yeah. I was thinking about that the other day because I had clocked out of my shift and I got home and I was like, oh, I wish somebody would say thank you. But then I realized, well, no.
Here's where they said thank you.
Yes.
Were there a lot of tips?
There were a lot of tips, and that was definitely a thank you. But I remembered a couple of verses that Jesus had said specifically about the people who pray, the people who give to the poor, who do so publicly. Do not be like those who are shouting in the streets, who are showing people all of their good deeds.
Yeah.
Don't pray in public, shouting aloud. Don't show people that you're fasting.
So you didn't say I'm serving you and doing all this work because I'm a Christian?
Right. No, I'm not going, hey, just so you know, I'm the only one here and I'm pretty dang good at my job.
And I'm a Christian.
So pay up.
Yeah. I'm a good Christian.
I'm a good Christian. Your boy needs to pay rent. I wasn't doing that. You have to realize that while I expect return on my investment, if you will. Right. I need thank yous. I need, you can get a raise.
A worker is worth his wages.
Exactly. And so I was thinking I needed all this, but I remembered all of those verses of like, no, do so peaceably and quietly, because what Jesus said is give to the poor in secret. Do not let your left hand know don't let your right hand know what your left is doing, right? You do so quietly. You do so secretly because you don't expect the praises of others. Pray alone in your prayer closet. Do so simply, do so selflessly. You're giving not for your own glory, but for the benefit of others only. And you don't want to do so that makes it about yourself.
This will almost be asking you to repeat yourself, but you love to hear yourself talk. So.
Right.
So how does a person, and I'll share, how does a person prepare? Because
Right.
you walk into something and you're like, okay, I want to be a light. I want to be persistent. I want to persevere. How do you prepare for that? Because I'm pretty sure you didn't get a call saying, hey, be prepared to have the worst day
I wish.
of the car wash.
Right.
I wasn't prepared for that.
Yep. You'd wish those things happened.
Yeah, you'd be like, oh, maybe I should put on my armor.
Yeah, the armor of God. Heck, my mom told me to do that the other day. That's something that you have to be ready and willing to do every day. I mean, it says to, put on the armor of God. And it's like, are you doing that daily? Are you, because every morning I go out into my backyard and I pray a simple little prayer of like, good morning, Lord, use me today. And I have to be ready for the Lord to use me today.
So you're saying that, for our audience's sake, you're saying that you speak it in the morning.
Yes.
So people should be going, is that enough? Is that enough just to have that simple prayer saying, God, prepare me for today?
Yes, absolutely. You're letting God know that I'm ready and available. You don't need to say 5 prayers before God realizes, now he's really ready.
Oh, he's really serious.
Oh, I get the message now.
He's serious.
Yeah, you just had to boost the radio signal before
Although
God
the other
appeared.
night it was like 2:00 in the morning.
Yeah.
And I couldn't sleep again because I was all stressed out.
Per usual.
And I've been getting out of bed, I get on my knees, and
good.
I'm like, God, I am begging. I know that I was praying just a couple minutes, laying down on my back, but I'm on my knees.
Yes.
Because I need help.
Yeah.
I need guidance. And nobody can really walk with me. I mean,
Right,
I've got to do it myself, but and with my partner. But so a simple prayer like that can relieve the stress.
Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes it does require getting on your knees and really going in, because specifically with asking God to use you today, it could be something as simple as like your quiet time in the morning of like, Lord, use me today. But when it comes to like, pray without ceasing, or to, ask with prayer and petitions of the Lord things that you need to happen, then you can, you can get on your knees and show God out of a position of surrender. Like, Lord, please, that's what Jesus was doing when he said, if it be your will, let this cup pass, before he was crucified. I mean, heck, to think that Jesus even struggled with the same issue of persevering. He said, I will persevere if you need me to, but also, Lord, if it is your will, let this pass, because this is going to suck.
That's a great analogy.
Because, if the Lord did it, who are we to say, well, I'll never ask God in heaven to deliver me from things? Because, a lot of friends, I've had a friend do this where it's like, even if it means I'm going to die tomorrow, I'll do whatever the Lord needs. It's like, well, maybe God doesn't need you to die tomorrow. Maybe he still needs you to be around. Some people will go to extremes with that.
I did ask God to take drop a engine from an airplane on top of the car wash and just crash it. And then then I would have an excuse.
Right. Have an excuse.
To not have to do anything.
Let this cup pass, if it be your will.
Let it
Please.
Because I was thinking, because if it was a hurricane, or if it would be an act of God, I don't think it'd be covered by my
Heck, it's raining right now. Could be any minute now. You never know. Could finally be delivered from this.
Thank you, Jesus.
But I think God is trying to be Moses with you right now. You got to walk through it and not over it.
You got to put your foot in it.
Yeah, exactly. You got to split the Red Sea and walk through it, not walk over it.
So what's so then? Secondly, Tell me, like, when you're in the middle of this job that you're doing, whatever job you're doing, and it all falls apart. How do you regroup, or do you regroup, or
regroup? What's that?
Or you might be fired tomorrow because you're going to go in after what you did last night.
Well, if we're almost fired tomorrow, I got really good at learning to deal with the stressful situation by doing it. I've said it before on the podcast. The best way to get over your fear of wolves is to look at pictures of wolves, right? The best way to get comfortable in a fire is to go in the burning building. Right? That's what fire school is. That's why there's a fire school. That's why there isn't you're hired. There's a burning building. Go put it out. That's why there's
hot.
Yeah, exactly. That's
It
why
is really hot in there. First time I went in a fire, my hood wasn't on right. I'm like, there's burning on my neck, because my neck was exposed. And I didn't have my hood on. And so you're like, oh, wait a minute, I'm going to put that thing on right from now on.
Oh, yeah.
Because you turn around going, there's a fire behind me. No, it's just the heat.
Exactly.
Pretty awesome.
That's a great analogy of what it is to learn, because you'll never do that again.
Nope.
Exactly.
Nope.
So when you're in the middle of something falling apart, once you've experienced that, and once you've experienced it enough, and you come at the other end, you know what to do. And that's why the best lessons are learned through failure. I keep saying it ad nauseum at this point, but the way that you learn things best is by doing it and having gone through it. That way you can say, oh, I've done this road before. Like, do you want a surgeon that's done 2 surgeries, or do you want a surgeon that's done 300 surgeries? Do you want the surgeon that's done more?
Even though you don't know the results, you just know that, well, he's
more
probably made a
experienced.
few mistakes in there, and he won't do it. Because
Exactly.
what do they say? You learn more from your mistakes.
Exactly.
That's really how you learn.
Yeah, so I think that's how the Lord teaches us, is through living it,
Yeah. So I last Friday, I was like, okay, I'm in this battle. Last week was like, it was crazy.
Woof.
And so Friday I decided I'm going to get up in the morning. Well, I get up in the morning. I have my quiet time.
Yeah.
I have my quiet time. I read the Bible and I journal. And then I've always memorized scriptures. So last Friday I said, I'm going to get out all the scriptures that kind of sneaked away out of my brain.
Yeah.
They're there.
Right.
But I'm like, and then blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
So I got out my hit list too.
Nice.
And so I said, I'm going to reestablish this groundwork. Because
Nice.
I felt like last week it was actually a spiritual battle, and I am not one that says the devil's under every rock. Okay, it probably is, but I'm not gonna. Oh my gosh, my shoelace is untied. That's the devil.
The enemy's
He's
trying to
kill
me.
me. And so I'm old, don't you know? But last week was by far the worst week that I have had in a really long time.
Wow.
So by Friday, I'm like, okay, I gotta armor up.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I've gotta, because one, you can't quit when you have. That's not an option right now.
It's not an option right now. Yeah.
It's the same thing when you're in the middle of a fire. Mm-hmm. Today's not the day to quit. Tomorrow you can quit.
Exactly.
But this one's like, oh no, you signed up.
You got to finish it.
You got to pay. There's some people you owe some money,
Right.
and it's not a little bit. So I got up and I said, okay, I'm going to get out Romans 6, and that's what this is. It's on a It's on a sheet of paper, and it's the first verse.
This guy laminated it.
That I ever know. You know who laminated it? You know,
right. It was
the
your
wife. It was the first verse that I ever memorized as a Christian.
Nice.
And quite honestly, like I said, I was in the top 98% of my class.
Yeah.
And I never really memorized in school.
Right.
Much. And I did memorize some girls' phone numbers. But
of course,
that
as you
being
do.
said, they told me to memorize the first 4 verses, but then I went on to memorize the whole thing.
Right.
So I got that out and went over that. On the back is John 15. Mm-hmm. These are like key verses that have kept me alive for a long time.
Nice.
And then there's this group, there's all these different little things, like there's Galatians 5, fruits of the Spirit.
Yep.
There's this one, Exodus 20:24. It says, wherever I cause my name to be honored, I will come and bless you.
Ooh.
You have to remember those things. But the key one in this one was Ephesians 6:10-20. Mm-hmm. Finally, be strong in the Lord. And it talks about spiritual battle.
Yeah.
For our struggle is not against flesh and blood, against the rulers, against the authorities, against the powers of this dark world, and against the spiritual forces of evil in the heavenly realms.
Yeah.
Therefore, put on your full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes, you may be able to stand your ground. And after you've done everything to stand. And then it goes on to talk about stand firm, put on the breastplate.
Yeah.
And so I went through this one, and then when my family wanted me to leave, there's been a couple rough matches in the last 44 years.
You know, that's how it works.
She's like, we kind of would like for you to leave.
Okay.
Well, maybe the kids did. They probably did, but my wife was definitely on track of going.
She was ready.
Could you find another place to live?
Just sleep back.
And leave the checking account. Praise God. We worked it out.
Thank God.
But I didn't know how to love. So, and I didn't know what love looked like.
Yeah.
I knew what conditional love looked like.
Mm-hmm.
And so how do you live in a world where they're saying, oh, you got to love people if you don't know what the definition is?
Right, yeah.
So I put the definition in my heart. I memorized 1 Corinthians. If I speak with the tongues of men and angels, but not have love, I am only a resounding gong or a clanging cymbal. If I have the gift of prophecy, I can fathom all the mysteries and all knowledge. Yep. And if I have faith that can move mountains, but I have not love, I am nothing. And so it goes on. Love is patient, love is kind.
Yep.
And all that other stuff. So I'm like, okay, let's get it going.
Yeah.
And so I've been reading over it. Well, Friday, by 11 o'clock, I was sitting in a meeting, having a conversation, and this guy said a tripwire that I went in.
Oh no!
Insane.
You went ballistic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have not been.
I can imagine.
That mad. I'm serious. In probably 30 years.
What?
I mean, he was like,
"Holy cow, dude!"
I'm not even going to say what he said because you'll pick on me. You'll say it. But there's a deep wound way down there, and I just boom. I was insane.
Yeah.
But after I calmed down, it was just me and him, no one else on.
Okay.
After I calmed down, I said, okay, you know what? I got to regroup. Mm-hmm. But I knew it was a battle.
Yes.
Because the devil wants to trip me up. Mm-hmm. And wants to trip me up with my, people that I'm meeting with, whatever.
Yeah.
So I said, dude, I got to walk away. He's like, no, come on, let's talk some more. And I'm like,
no, you don't want me to.
I can't say the word that I said. And so as I was walking away, I said, you've got to pray this in.
Yeah.
And so I walked the property. I kept on walking around the property, just praying, God, help me. Mm-hmm. And so persevering also is getting to the other side of a problem and going, okay, what do I need to do now? Because I can't live here.
Yeah.
What do you have to do? And so if if you have a life full of confusion and blah, 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 first you have to ask God, what do I need to do?
Right.
Then he's going to tell you what you need to do. He will. Then you're going to do if you do it, and then you're going to get attacked by that.
Right, exactly. Without fail.
You're going to show up to work saying, I want to be a servant at this restaurant. And then all of a sudden nobody comes into work.
And you are the servant at that restaurant.
Yeah.
The only servant.
Right.
And just be careful what you wish for.
Like, God, what are you joking, God? Yeah. Did you not see me memorizing scriptures this morning?
He said, no, I'm not joking.
But he's like, no, I did. And this is just the battle that you're in. And so you need to take this serious. So I've been really working on it still. Yeah. And actually, that guy and I, we reconciled.
Nice.
The next day, we had like the biggest day.
Oh, heck yeah.
Sales-wise ever. So I was like really happy.
Heck yeah.
A day after that, 4 people calling off sick. But all that to say is that there's something about you can persevere if you have the tools.
Yes.
You can persevere if you have the power. You can persevere if you've decided this is where I'm going to go, and this is what I believe that God's called me to do.
Yeah.
And so by the end of Friday, I'm like, I might be right in the center of God's will. Yeah. Because if you're not getting pushback, talk about the War on Art, the book, our favorite.
Resistance.
Resistance. If you're not, first of all, everybody gets resistance.
Yes.
It's just what it is.
Yeah.
But if you're not getting pushback, you might want to ask God if you're doing what you're supposed to be doing.
I'm a little too comfortable.
Yeah, right this is like really easy. I know.
Yeah, right.
This one guy's like, this is the easiest thing I've ever done being a Christian. I'm like, well, maybe you might
just wait. You just wait, buddy.
You might want to work on it.
Yeah. I was just thinking about this the other day. The whole, there's a verse and it says that God desires mercy over sacrifice. And it's like, well, what does that mean? You know, when God tells us that he desires one thing over the other, I was thinking about your situation. When you get to that point of like absolute desperation, you're like, God, I need you, and you're praying the prayer on your knees. It is good to almost like anticipate the preemptive attack and remain in the center of God's will, you know, lest something bad should happen. And then you need to pray that desperate prayer, right? Right. So when you are in that place of obedience, yes, things will go wrong, but you won't need to get to a spot where you're desperately begging God, because I know you've been there and I've been there myself, where you're like, God, please, just take this or figure this out for me. When you remain in God's will, like in the story of the prodigal son, you won't need to go through all that awfulness and then have to come back home. Yes, there will be rejoicing when you come home, but then there's the brother that remained in his father's presence, right? You know? And he remained exactly where he needed to be. And yes, it was hard. He was tending to a field and working, but you know, hey, he remained in God's will, and there was no need for him to cry out desperately to God and get to a place where he was at rock bottom. And so when you are ready and you are prepared, you're hit with those trials and you're like, I'm exactly, like you said, I am in the bullseye of God's will. I'm exactly where I need to be. And so these things are trivial to me, because I've already had the armor of God on this whole time. Right. Were you pulling up a Bible verse?
I was trying to pull up something so they also asked me I belong to this small group now. It started Tuesday. Yeah. A legacy business leaders.
Oh, cool. Nice.
And it's a Bible-based teaching or group that you're learning how to be a better businessman. Nice. Oh, wait a minute. I'm not a businessman. So it's like, let's start at the beginning. And the beginning is to have a vision statement. And so that was the push this week, is to have that hopefully done. And I believe a lot of this is because I was able to get that done. I can't find it, and I should have memorized that. But it's I'm asking God that I want this to be, yes, I'm trying to earn supplemental income, but part of all my employees are the working poor.
Right, yeah.
And so I believe that God has opened up an opportunity for me to minister to the people that are working, and these people work so hard.
Yeah.
But there's not enough money to pay them like high wages. You just can't do it. And so, God, can you help me with my supplemental income, along with empowering and providing a good paying job for people that normally are minimized. And so I believe this is a deeper call for me. I don't know why I'm telling this on this podcast.
Well, hey, it's good. Get out in the world.
It's the deeper call for me to saying this is bigger than just, I own a car wash and, we're just, it's making money like hand over fist, which it is not. But but it's a bigger, yes, you're allowed to make money. But God's got a bigger plan than you lining your pockets.
Right.
Especially for guys that are retired like me. It's like, what are you going to do to change the world?
Yeah.
So, So get back to perseverance. It would be easier to go, you know what? I'm just going to cash out. I'm going to put it in a CD, and I'm going to live off of that for a couple of years.
Yeah.
Smart. Or is it, do you believe that God's called you to be the man He's called you to be today? And it's easy to go, oh, I'm the man that God called me to do. Well, I'm working at a restaurant by myself.
Yeah.
But God's
seems easy. No.
It's nearly not it's hard to say this because the world says, no, you need a career.
Yes.
You got a degree. What are you doing serving?
Yeah. But I think I'm exactly where I need to be. And that's good because, God's called me to like this or to writing or to things that take time, I think ultimately is what I'm called to do. I'm not supposed to be, rich and great by 28. There is no I've made it when you're 25 years old. And those who are claiming to have made it by 25 are either not real people or they haven't actually yet. Like you see those social media influencers that are all, I'm young and I'm rich and I heard a story. I think I might have said this already, but there are these private jet hangars where they rent out space to do photo ops in private jets for these influencers, and then they just go home. Right. They don't even fly anywhere. They don't get off the ground. It's just, look at me, and then they leave. And it's all fake. And we compare ourselves to this, and then we wonder why everybody is depressed and sad. But it's like there is no I've made it and I've finished. With the whole point of perseverance is, you get to the promised land, and that's not the end of the story. That's the beginning of the story, right?
But there's also something about perseverance that when you get done with your double shift by yourself.
Thank you for honoring me.
When you get through that, there's this thing. It's like, okay, I finished what I said I was going to do. I did what I'm saying to do, and there's a peace or there's a satisfaction that makes you feel like you did what God wanted you to do.
Yeah. That's the regular.
You're a baller for Jesus.
Baller for Jesus. There you go. There's a playlist that we have for that. That's the whole Sabbath idea, is that you have regular periods of rest where at the end of your week you can rest and look back at all the work that you've accomplished and say that it is good, just like the Lord did. But when it comes to the large span of life, it's like you're not done. You're just beginning a new journey, right? And that's good. That is what we're called to do. Again, it's like tend the garden constantly.
And if you don't know how to persevere when I'm not being demeaning at all. Yeah. But if you if you don't know what perseverance is now, and that's really what, when you're younger, you're learning that. Yeah. I need to finish. Why? Because it's my word. It's actually, I can put it on a resume one day. I started this job as a dishwasher, and now I'm on fries.
Right, exactly. I made it, guys.
That's from Coming to America with what's his face?
I don't know.
Chris Rock. No, Eddie Murphy.
Yes.
Yeah, Coming to America. Remember, he's you start here, you mop, and then one day you'll be at Flies, and that's where the money's at. Yeah. So anyway, I'm sorry, but as you as you're younger, you learn these things because there's going to be a day when you're married, and there's going to be a day when that's not going really well. And it's like, I need to finish this. I can't just leave the room. And his friend, he goes, I just leave. I'm like, well,
Don't do that.
How can you have a relationship with somebody if you're never in the room?
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, you got to be in the room, and the same thing with, all of a sudden you have this child, and you're like, I've never finished anything, and this child's screaming, and you're like, I got to figure this out. I need to finish well. Why? Because he's going to become a mobster when he's 16 years old. And you figure it out. You're like, okay, what needs to happen here? What's the adjustment?
Figure it out step by step. You never, get all the information at once. Like, here we go. Especially having your first kid, I imagine that's a nightmare.
Oh my gosh.
And then there are people that have 4 kids, 5, 6, and it's like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, it's rewarding, but oh my gosh, that span of raising the child just seems like an eternal nightmare. That expression right there says volumes.
We'll leave it at there.
That says volumes right there.
Praise God that my wife was such a good mother that she had the kids figured out. But back to perseverance and tenacity. Tenacity is more like, okay, I'm pretty good at this, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to do it well, and I don't care what comes at me. I'm finishing this project.
Sure, yeah.
That's like almost like muscling your way through it.
Right, which you don't have to muscle your way through life.
Right.
There's an episode on that.
Yeah. So anyway, anything else? We didn't hit any of these things.
Well, it's fine because I feel like we got the point across.
I think we got the point across.
Yeah.
So what are you going to do today to persevere?
Well, I have a couple of things on my to-do list, and I'm going to complete that to-do list. And I'm not going to slack off and say, well, I could do that tomorrow. It's the little things. You get good at making your bed, you can be good at managing a car wash. There you go. Start small, and you can work your way up.
Well, that's not the goal in life.
Is to manage a car wash? No, not at all.
Although I am looking for a manager.
There you go.
No, we have a guy, but he's great.
Yeah.
But I don't have management skills. So right now, I'm just like a doer. What do you want to call it? I live by reaction. I live in crisis. Crisis, I know how to handle.
Yeah.
Methodically persevering, methodically doing step by step is not my strength.
Sure. Yeah. Well, yeah, that's good.
Anyway,
thank you so much for tuning in to another episode in our new little makeshift studio.
Alcove.
Well, this worked out very well. Yeah.
Well, now if it sounds good, but
yeah, who knows? It might sound like an echoey mess this whole episode.
Subscribe and like.
Yeah, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. We will see you guys in the next episode. Peace.